From inexplicable phenomena in the Philippines to strange creatures that shatter our usual understanding of the world. On the 7th of January 2024 year, on Thanato Beach in the Philippines, a horrifying scene unfolded. Thousands of fish literally threw themselves ashore, forming a shimmering silvery carpet on the sand. Videos of this phenomenon instantly went around the world, evoking mixed feelings in people, from curiosity to anxiety. A similar case had already occurred in the city of Hakodate in Japan, where the shoreline was littered with dead marine creatures. Immediately, the question arose, is another natural disaster looming? The Japanese earthquake heightened these suspicions and caused Filipinos to pay special attention to this mass fish stranding. Many began to wonder whether this was a sinister warning of an impending catastrophe. We present to you a story about the incredible, literally 24-ton python named Pry, living on an exotic island not far from the city of Cebu in the Philippines. 11 years ago, a little girl accidentally discovered it when the creature was merely a tiny 5-foot snake. At first, Pry weighed only a few kilograms, but as time passed, the snake grew at an astonishing rate, reaching an impressive mass of 200 kilograms. Yet this is not just a pet, but a true partner to its owner, who takes care of it, feeds it live chicks, and even bathes it in warm water. Moreover, she helps it shed its skin during molting. When Pry renews its covering, the shade of its scales changes from dark to almost golden brown, attracting curious glances. Despite its size, this python behaves in an extremely friendly manner and amazes tourists with its calm nature. In one of the amateur recordings made late at night in a swampy area, a group of friends unexpectedly captured something absolutely horrifying. For a second, the frame showed a two-legged creature, pale as though it avoided even the faintest ray of light, which instantly disappeared into thick undergrowth. Its movement was lightning fast, untraceable, and silent. Those who viewed the video began to speculate. Perhaps it is some unidentified swamp inhabitant that avoids contact with humans, or maybe just a trick of light and shadow. One thing is clear, this footage still troubles researchers of the unknown, giving rise to the most fantastic assumptions. In the 2011 year, at one of the docks, workers encountered astonishing worm-like creatures. In the video, one can see how these beings are carefully collected and sent to an oceanic research institute to determine their species. The most frightening part is that the worm's mouth seemed wide enough to easily swallow a human hand. The authenticity of the footage is not in doubt, since it is old, but what happened afterward remains unknown. No official reports or detailed explanations ever emerged. We can only guess what secrets those creatures might have concealed. A diver's video caused a real stir. He managed to find, at the bottom of a river in the city of Williamsport, in the state of Maryland, a strange substance resembling transparent green jelly. In the footage, it gently sways, covering everything around it, visually reminiscent of a colony of alien organisms. The author of the recording jokingly suggested that he had discovered an underwater settlement of aliens. Scientists, however, disagree with such sensational claims. They believe it is an ordinary alga that during photosynthesis releases tiny bubbles of oxygen, creating such an unusual effect. But viewers still re-watch the footage, hoping to find evidence of extraterrestrial life. Once on Panglao Beach in Bohol Province, an inexplicable find was made. Some sort of unidentified object, which at first glance was hard to call living. The strangest thing was that upon contact, this organism began to secrete a thick fluid of a bright color, ranging from vivid purple to pinkish, so that the water around it literally changed hue. Soon it turned out that there were several such creatures on the beach, and one of them even tried to crawl back into the sea, showing tiny limbs as if small legs or fins. To this day, scientists have not reached a definitive conclusion about exactly what appeared on that shore and why. At first glance, it looks like a tuft of hair lying on the floor of a barbershop, but as soon as you touch it, the hairdo suddenly breaks into dozens or even hundreds of small creatures. In the viral video, you can see how someone picks up this strange clump. and it immediately becomes clear that these are not hares at all, but an entire community of arachnids known as harvestmen. They are also called granddaddy longlegs. Despite their frightening appearance, harvestmen are completely harmless to humans. They simply have a remarkable habit of clumping together into a single pulsating mass. This is how they protect themselves and repel potential predators or unwelcome guests. Once, over the skies of the Philippines, a huge black smoky ring appeared, causing real alarm among eyewitnesses. It seemed as if this ring-shaped object was alive and was absorbing air rising from the ground, growing larger and changing shape. At first, no one could explain its origin. There was no fire nearby, nor any factory chimneys that could create such an effect. Horrified people wondered whether this was an omen of something supernatural. But the ring disappeared as suddenly as it arose, leaving behind only a host of questions and speculations. On the 3rd of July, 2022 year, an enormous female sperm whale was discovered off the coast, exceeding 10 meters in length. Having collided with an unknown obstacle, it literally stranded, causing it to go into shock. Local residents, lucky enough to see this majestic creature up close, did not immediately grasp the seriousness of the situation. Some even tried to climb onto the animal for a better view. Unfortunately, all attempts to help the sperm whale return to the ocean were unsuccessful. Despite all the efforts made, the fate of this giant mammal proved tragic. It could not be saved. 2 men claimed that they had caught the legendary creature called the sigbin, which appears in Filipino folklore. According to descriptions, the sigbin looks like a goat without horns, with disproportionately large ears, and it moves in a strange manner, supposedly walking backwards with its head lowered between its hind legs. In the video that surfaced online, there really is something frightening visible. Some viewers believe this to be a genuine demonstration of the sigbin's existence, for legend states that it hunts those who do evil, dragging their souls into the abyss. Others are convinced that this is yet another fake created for hype. In any case, the clip caused quite a stir among local inhabitants who respect ancient legends. While fishing, a man noticed a strange frog that, instead of regular hind legs, seemed to have a long tail, with 2 additional legs sticking out of it. Thus, the frog had 6 legs in total. It primarily moved on 3 limbs, while the unusual tail portion served more as an extra support. In some cultures, such creatures are considered symbols of good fortune, so the man carefully took the frog home and placed it in an aquarium, hoping it would bring prosperity to the family. The skunk ape, or skunk ape, is a folkloric creature said to inhabit the swamps of the southern states of the United States. In the 2008 year, a photograph was taken that people began calling the most plausible evidence of its existence. The picture ended up at the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office in Florida, along with a letter from a woman claiming that she was the one who captured the image of this ape while driving past a marshy area. A cryptozoology specialist who analyzed it stated that the photo was authentic. However, the mystery of what exactly was photographed remains unsolved. Sometimes even familiar creatures can make our skin crawl if they appear in an unexpected form. Thus, the sister of a certain blogger and her husband were walking along the banks of the Basaka River when they noticed a long, writhing mass, resembling a living rope or thread. On the river's white sand, it stood out especially vividly, twisting as if it were a separate entity. When the video reached the internet, viewers speculated about what it might be. An extremely rare type of worm, a larva, or a sea cucumber accidentally carried into freshwater. No definitive answer was found, so the mystery remains unresolved. In one village, there are legends about tiny alien-like beings. Some people swear they saw miniature humanoid creatures darting around. Soon afterward, a video appeared in local social networks showing a tiny, grayish body, supposedly found in a swampy area on the outskirts of town. Seeing its strange skin and proportions, some assumed it was a doll or a hoax. Yet the video's authors insist it is genuine. This case only fueled the endless debates about UFOs and extraterrestrials that are said to have long settled among us. David White, a man who organizes extreme wilderness tours, once encountered an unexplainable mystery. It happened on the 8th of August 2017 year on the border of a river in northern Queensland, where he noticed a creature of indeterminate type. When the video was posted on social media, speculations arose. From an unknown large mollusk to some strange whale that had strayed into the swamps. Some thought it was an amphibian, equally capable of living in water and on land. However, despite a million theories, no real data on the origin or species of this mysterious creature has been obtained. In one southern city of Paraguay, local inhabitants discovered a creepy, semi-decomposed corpse in a creek, looking somewhat humanoid. Photographs quickly spread, causing panic among the population, and people started whispering about the chupacabra, the legendary monster said to suck the blood of animals. But the forensic expert stated that this was merely the body of an ordinary monkey, distorted by decomposition. Despite scientific explanations, many villagers continued to believe that the chupacabra had claimed a life or left its mark. For sometimes, legends prove stronger than any evidence. In one video captured by a drone, a whole group of dark figures can be seen lining up by the shore, emerging from the water and moving in search of something resembling food. Unaware viewers found this to be a group of unknown water humanoids. But a closer look reveals that these are ordinary humans, most likely fishermen or members of the Bajau tribe, often called sea nomads. They feel perfectly at home in the water, diving without scuba gear and spending most of their lives at sea. While the rest of the planet dreams of conquering space, these brave people construct an underwater world right next to their floating homes. On the Danat Islands in the Philippines, fishermen stumbled upon a gigantic rotting creature washed ashore. Initially, due to its considerable size and unrecognizable shape, everyone thought it was an alien or an oceanic monster. The enormous body, covered with a strange woolly mass, provided no clear indication of its species. Soon the theory emerged that it was probably the remains of a whale, heavily damaged and decomposed beyond recognition. Yet no definitive scientific confirmation followed. Analysis required time, and the Globster, as the find was nicknamed, continued to captivate people's imaginations worldwide. In one video, there was something like a dragon's egg, apparently opened by biologists. Inside was a tiny embryo of a creature very similar to the mythical dragons from Chinese legends. Tiny clawed paws, wings, and a long tail. Judging by the footage, this baby even managed to hatch, but soon died. Nearby, another egg was found, which may also have been on the verge of hatching. The creators of the sensational video named the little one Draco Shaw and handed over samples for scientific analysis. If this being turns out to be genuine, a grand breakthrough awaits the scientific community, forcing a complete rethinking of what we know about fauna. Rare footage shot by biologists shows countless mosquito larvae moving in a coordinated living convoy, forming a sort of giant snake-like creature. It is hard to believe that this is not one organism, but tens or even hundreds of thousands of tiny larvae advancing in unison along the ground. Researchers call this phenomenon wolfworm or gearworm, known since the 17th century, yet still a mystery from the standpoint of a final scientific explanation. One theory holds that by doing this, the larvae move faster, using a collective belt like a conveyor. When a certain man was returning late in the evening, in the middle of the road, he saw a motionless black entity that looked rather demonic. It appeared to have horns and skin covered in a dark substance. Grabbing his smartphone, the man approached cautiously and tried to film the demon, staying at a safe distance. Internet users immediately divided into two camps. Some believed it was a real otherworldly being, while others were convinced it was a person in a costume or a wild animal that had wandered onto the road. No precise explanation was ever offered, however. In the impassable forests of Indonesia, a group of friends decided on a nighttime outing, hoping to witness wildlife in its raw form. But instead of the usual animals, they encountered a mud-covered swamp monster. At first, the creature sat hidden in the shadows, then began slowly moving toward a wooden footbridge, emitting muffled growls. Terrified, the friends retreated, watching as the monster submerged into the water and disappeared into the darkness. The sight, was so baffling and frightening that the video spread across all social networks the same day. Meet the Sunda Colugo, often called the flying lemur, although it is neither a true lemur nor does it actually fly in the usual sense. But it is truly an acrobatic wonder, able to glide among trees over considerable distances, sometimes up to several hundred feet. Its membrane, reminiscent of a bat's wings, turns it into a kind of living glider. Locals consider these animals something between a bat and a flying squirrel, and spotting them in the wild is a huge stroke of luck. Often, these creatures hide in dense canopies and are mainly active at night. In the 2017 year in Kazakhstan, a public works crew encountered a shocking discovery. In a sewer collector, they found an enormous serpentine entity reminiscent of either a relic snake or a creature from prehistoric times. The video shows workers pulling it out with a strong rope. Rumors spread that it might be the so-called Titanoboa, a giant extinct snake that lived tens of millions of years ago. But no matter what theories emerged, no official source ever gave a clear answer as to whether this was a genuine biological breakthrough or a rare anomaly. In the 2016 year, one YouTuber ventured deep into the wild forests and witnessed a strange scene. His camera captured an enormous humanoid being with long arms and a slightly hunched torso. It moved unhurriedly, apparently unaware of being observed. Frightened, the video's author did not follow the creature, merely filming it from some distance. Later, the footage sparked intense debate, from theories about a mutated animal to speculations that it was a yeti or another unknown life form to science. During a dive in coastal waters near the Philippines, a scuba diver filmed a strange creature that appeared to move on four limbs. In the video, it remained in the shadows, and only for a fraction of a second did the camera catch something like a face, somewhat resembling a human's. Initially, some assumed it was a regular otter or duck, but the depth and salinity of the water made this version unlikely. Later, information surfaced that a similar creature had washed ashore in New Zealand, and scientists are currently conducting a genetic analysis of its remains. It will be interesting to see whether they can uncover the secret of this mysterious being. In one video, you can make out some living formation that swims aimlessly from side to side, occasionally showing only its head above the water's surface. The person filming tried to get closer to figure out whether it was a duck, an otter, or something altogether different. The quality of the recording left much to be desired, so no one could give a definite answer. Some commentators believe it is nothing more than a floating buoy that occasionally changes position due to the current. But there are also those who think the creature has its own will and moves thanks to hind legs or a tail. The question remains open. That is all for today. Write comments, leave likes, and subscribe to Top Facts, the most incredible collections of facts and videos from across the internet.